it was interesting because coming out of advertising, you hear, art directors and, make sure you have a portfolio to show people. Well, the same is true for this industry too. And, actually, the ISA there was a number of, I think it was maybe a Zoom session that you had given where it's talk about building a portfolio. If you're a writer, have more than one script.
You need more.
And it's so true because every single meeting with a producer, it might be about this particular script, but either the conversation starts or ends with, what else are you working on? And you should be able to answer that, and truthfully, because producers are interested in different subject matter. You're not always going to be pitching one script. If you've got 4 or 5 scripts that you're real proud of.
To kind of add to that real quick, it's also the change of mindset is that it's not necessarily about the project, especially when you're new in the industry in terms of regardless of age. Like you're attempting to create a career as a writer. You are the entity. It's not the script, really. I mean, yes, of course, the script is what will be optioned and hopefully produced, etc. But it's you that people will want to hire, because more often than not, the jobs you're going to get as a writer are from open writing assignments, or someone asks you, "Can you rewrite something?" or "I have a story idea, I'll give you $5,000." And that's really how you make your money. It isn't just. This isn't a bar of soap on a shelf in a grocery store. People don't just buy the soap like that. You're not really creating a product that way. Mm-hmm. It's a completely different approach.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of add to that, I would say for me, I don't consider myself a writer. I consider myself a development executive. I can't really own that title because I'm biased against that title, but I do consider myself to be a development producer. And oftentimes if I hear a pitch or I'm looking for a project, the thing that grabs me is, first and foremost, I'm responding to the person. I'm like, in the feature world, especially in independent feature films, I mean, that's a relationship that every film, at least 5 years from concept to production to distribution, you're working with this person. And so I'm someone who responds to people first, and I also really respond to, this might sound kind of weird, but I also really respond to vulnerability as a producer. I think that's a superpower for telling stories, and I think as an individual, when you're able to tap into that and play with that in your projects, and also, show up vulnerable or show up messy or show up really authentic, that is the type of person that I'm interested in working with. I think on a super practical level, at this stage in my career, I'm involved pretty early on with writers, so we're developing ideas from the beginning together, and then writers are scripting and we're sending drafts back and forth. And for some reason, I'm doing a lot of play adaptations right now. So a big thing for me, if someone comes to me and they say, "Oh, I'm adapting this book," or "I'm adapting this person's story," or whatever it is, the first question I always have as a producer is, do you have your chain of title? Do you have the rights to do that? And so for all of those of you who are considering adaptation or considering even someone's life story, for example, you have to have the rights, legally the rights to be able to tell that story. Otherwise, I'm not going to get involved as a producer. So that's just a little bit of a tangible piece for those who are pulling stories or inspiration from established events.
So once I have a script, or hopefully multiple scripts, as getting advised, then what are the avenues, what do I do with those things, particularly if I don't have an agent or a manager, and we can get to that question later. Or I don't have Angie's phone number. What are some of the avenues to getting your script or scripts seen, read?
It's the golden question, really. We're always asking that. Mm-hmm. But
one thing I always advocate is do table reads. I think the thing I see the most is that people are sending their scripts out too soon. They need more development. They need to be read out loud. They need more feedback. That script should not be going anywhere unless you've had at least 10 to 15 people read it and you have positive feedback. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be well thought out and developed. So I would certainly start there, and then the next tangible step I would take is recognize what you don't know. Do you need a producer? Do you know how to do a budget? Do you know how to do a schedule? Or do you need to find someone to help you put those pieces together? And then start talking about it. I think you said action follows success. Similarly, like action generates momentum. So if you just start talking about it, submitting it to screenplay festivals, etc., you're gonna start to connect to the other people that can help you put those pieces together. You guys might have more specifics from the writer's point of view.
I wasn't sure, and I didn't really have a plan. So when I started, I would send scripts to screenwriting competitions and film festivals of places that were on my bucket list of where I wanted to go. Paris, the Bahamas. Geographically.
That's smart. That's a
And
good
I was
plan.
like, if it wins,
Kudos to you.
I'll go and visit a place I'd like to go.